statement, we start from there.
So I think they have, asked me to do some, not a DevSecOps pipeline for a end-to-end project. So end-to-end automation.
Okay. So some requirements were given at high level,
Yeah,
and
at a high
for the entire
level.
DevSecOps pipeline. Okay.
Yeah. So first of all, yeah, I mostly worked on DevOps life cycle.
Mhm.
So of course we know the DevOps is a development and an operation as a combination, or it's a methodology we are using in the enterprise level. So now one very important thing at the earlier stage, this DevOps basically leave the security part at the initial stage. At the end, enterprise level, they were facing some security issues, and finally they put some solution. But nowadays, all the enterprise, they're trying to provide the security from the starting stage itself. In every stage, they're trying to provide the security, and it will provide a speed deployment and a secure, application on the for the enterprise level. So we can call the DevSecOps basically a development and a security part. One more thing is involving and an operation part. So here, every DevOps cycle will start with the planning, of course. So from their stage itself, we can define what the what security we supposed to provide for each step in order to avoid or uh, prevent from the threat modeling, vulnerabilities, and SQL injection. So there's so many threats are there, and how to provide a firewall to the hacker. So so many things in constraints. So we will basically go with DevSecOps. So from the stage one itself, in the problem statement, I'll go through this. First, they given code repository. So we will comes to the code repository once we have done few stages before. Uh, so while planning, so at a top end level, while we planning, so we can decide what kind of threat model or what kind of vulnerabilities may happen on that particular project or an applications. So based on that, we will design our application. We can use. So the planning stage basically we will analyze what kind of things will happen, what kind of threat and vulnerabilities. So for that, for the communications and tools, basically we will use Jira or Slack. Mostly, I work with Jira and Slack for such kind of things. Then basically, once they have designed, basically it will move to the development stage. So as a developer, they can prevent some kind of or some sort of vulnerabilities or some kind of attacks. They can prevent it. How in sense, if they are using some the IIDE, in that basically they can integrate with some kind of plugins or code analyzer or some kind of unit testing they can do, and they can make sure whether they are reporting any package or any plugins. They have to ensure whether it is a latest version or error free. There are so many tools available in the market. As an enterprise level, we can use different types of analyze while doing the code. So one thing just I understood from here, they can avoid maximum of errors, and they can prevent their code from attack. And one main thing here, the developer should ensure they should not hard code any passwords or secrets in their code. Instead, we can keep it as a separate file, and we should call. So we should prevent this kind of information from the attackers. So for that purpose, the first stage itself, from the development stage itself, we should provide the security. So it is code. So basically, once we have done the coding part or development part, basically we push to the hit repository. I mean the repository here in the problem statement they're given as a code repository. The code repository, the repository GitHub they're given. So I'll use GitHub or Bitbucket. So the one advantage is GitHub is basically it's an open source and you can host a private and public repositories. That's one advantage. But as an enterprise level, if you want more secure and you want more uh, private, then you can basically go for a Bitbucket. So this is the uh, these repositories or these source code management basically we can any it will work with any technologies. So that's what I just prefer this Bitbucket. But one more we can say if you are going for any cloud, of course they have their own code repository. If you are say taking AWS, of course easier one of the best solution. And here from the development stage to the repository, the code repositories. As a DevOps, in the term of DevSecOps, we should provide the security. The one plugin I Git hooks or a talisman. These by using these two tools, we can securely keep our passwords or APIs or tokens. So it will work based on some sort of scanning. Suppose let's say an example, if you are using some kind of file name password, of course it will scan and it will provide an error. It will not commit. Before commit itself, it will provide the error. And if we are you need to follow certain rules to keep your identity, like access key or anything. So if you are using this kind of tool, it will not allow. So if you violate the rules, it will not can provide an error-free and secured data we can push to the record repository. So basically, I can say GitHub or Bitbucket. And types of cloud, we can go for easier. So once we have done this, uh, we supposed to go with many stages, like you're supposed to integrate your code from repository to. So basically, the one thing I'm saying here, so there are many tools available in the market for CI/CD pipeline, but I'll go with Jenkins, and I have experience on Jenkins as well as one of the internal tool that is called Shepherd in Oracle. So both I have worked. That is an anyway. It's an Oracle perspective tool, so we cannot use outside. But I'll take this Jenkins as a CI/CD tool. So whenever the problem is here, we have to do or we have to automate the end-to-end deployment. So I will go with Jenkins. In Jenkins, the one thing we while doing the pipelines or pipeline script, we should not we can mask the the tokens or password and anything, any sensitive data. If you are not transferring any sensitive data into your script, if you want to, then one option is given by Jenkins, like credential manager, where we can keep our credentials and it will mask while you are writing the script. That is one. Again, we have many solutions for credential manager like Ashikoff Vault, and if you are taking in AWS, yeah, of course, there's a secret manager. By using this, we can hard code our credential and it will provide one of the security. So once we have done this part, the next they mentioned code repository parts. Then continuous integration. The continuous integration, the code will be automatically built in tested using Azure or DevOps. So since I did work on Azure DevOps, so I can explain based on two tools. One is an open source like Jenkins, and another one is
That's
yeah,
fine.
AWS.
That's okay. Even though they have mentioned certain tools, you shouldn't replace them. That's, but we're not getting the complete picture as such. Like I'm not getting what you mean by DevSecOps. What is the objective? What we are trying to do? And I'm not very clearly understanding from this diagram and from the communication. So don't
Okay.
go so deep into, you know,
Okay. Okay. So
at high level,
okay.
try to explain what has been asked for, what you have built.
Okay. In high level, I need to design a DevSecOps pipeline.
What is the
Basically,
DevSecOps pipeline?
yeah, DevSecOps. In DevOps, there are many stages. As a pipeline, we can call many stages.
What is
Uh,
DevOps?
DevOps, DevOps basically a a method to deploy an application, automate an application from start to end.
Okay.
So development to monitoring, we can call this DevOps. And on top of that, we are providing security on each stages. Instead of providing at the end, we are providing the security in each stages. So
Okay.
that we can call as a DevSecOps.
Okay. What is this process called? Doing security early.
Yes, before in every stage, we are providing security. Like while you are doing the code development,
But
you
we can do
suppose
it later on also. If we do it at the end, then also there is no problem, right?
But that's the thing. Suppose you develop that code and you are doing the pipeline. At the end, if you find any errors, you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to go at the beginning, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
if you face some issues at the end of every stage, then there might be a chance you need to go look into your previous code. You have to change it sometime. You have to integrate with some other
But the
tool.
probability is very less, right? Team would have tested everything. Uh,
Uh,
the chances of finding an issue later is very less.
Now, if you are going through DevSecOps, then very less. But in case of normal DevOps, uh, there will be a chance to face like if you are using some outdated plugins in your
Okay.
application. So initially it was running fine, but
So
at the end,
where is the security tool fitting in this diagram that you have?
so in each stage is the so
Jira
in
and
the,
Slack are for security planning.
no. This is just a tool for planning. But in the planning stage, they can
What is this
handle.
yellow? What does the yellow represents in
The
this diagram?
yellow basically tools. Yellow basically the tools, but we are going
Tools.
into yes. Yellow is the
Okay.
tools, and
Okay.
the green is the methodology. What we are going to implement.
Okay. So when somebody is doing coding right on their workstation,
Yes.
what is the DevSecOps recommendation there?
Uh, One thing. So they can do some kind of testing like unit test, or so some kind of testing like whether it's working properly or not,
But
and
that
whether
they do
they
in the
can.
standard process also. That's I would recommend 20 years ago as well,
Okay,
right?
but sometimes, okay, one thing they can ensure, like if they are integrating some plugins or some kind of, they'll integrate some APIs, they can ensure whether we are installing a latest one, the plugins is very, comply with our standard policies or it
But
provides
how
the
do you know that
security.
latest plugin will not have issues and the old version will have issues? Maybe
Uh,
the latest version is not compatible and maybe have security issues.
yeah, that's one course, but at least they can ensure. So some kind of, at least some level,
But
not.
how will a developer know? I'm downloading something, some Python package from public repository and referring that in my application. How will you ensure that that
Okay.
does not have issues?
Uh, an updated version, obviously, our best recommendation is the latest package or the which is if you analyze in the market, we can see some plugins may
Mhm.
do some kind of some kind of thread. Some plugins may use. So let's take an example. If you are going through any installing some application in a mobile, something is recommended by the provider itself, or let's say an example Google Play Store is there.
Provider will
So
say that use this latest version, but Whether that is compatible to your application will be discovered in the application testing. Whether that is secure enough, how will that part be discovered?
Uh, that we can use some code scanning,
Exactly.
code scanning. Um,
But you don't have code
Approach.
for that. You have a binary, you have a package.
The package, yeah, package also we can scan, right? Package also we can scan by using
It's
some.
not coming out,
Uh,
right? In the diagram the focus was on the security side. That
yeah.
package scanning is not coming out anywhere.
Okay, I think the middle I did it in continuous history. I did some this to of the scout for series. It's basically
Okay.
for the image scanning. Uh, so this part
Okay.
will do here. So the basically while the building also we can uh, the build we can use
Okay.
some.
What is the difference between the static on your green boxes? You have static software testing and dynamic application security testing.
Okay,
What are the main differences between these two?
static basically, before we deploy the applications, if you want to, in some stages, if you want to find out any uh, errors or some kind of vulnerabilities we provide. But dynamic application security testing, we can call it a runtime error, kind of a runtime error. We can
Mhm.
get it from the dynamic application security testing. But static, you will not, basically, if your code is working fine, if you are getting the output, or if, this is done by, static application software testing. But
For
if
example,
you,
any software for both these categories,
uh,
which
no,
product
tool,
is suitable for static and which is for dynamic?
so the code scanner or Sonar Cube we can use for, static application software testing.
And
For
dynamic?
dynamic invicti I just mentioned because I didn't involved in this kind of testing, so that's what I just this is the one tool I just remember.
Okay.
But one thing, yeah, like so sometimes if you are creating any program as usual, while the compile, it will not throw any kind of error. But when you run this program, you sometimes you will get the runtime error. So that's the purpose. We are just implementing these tasks. Uh, that is the end. Dynamic application security testing. So these two testing we will use to do it in a build and testing stages.
Okay.
So once we have done, then we will build as an image, let's say an extra Docker image, and if testing is everything's done and the code is error free and is secure, then basically we will push into the container registry. Container registry basically we can in AWS based Amazon ECR, Amazon ECR regular, and before I mentioned Amazon ECR, also Nexus also you can use for as a container registry. So once because before this part, maximum of security level testing we can done up to the testing mode. Then only one thing we have to scan the images by using some. There are many tools available to scan this. So basically, I just mentioned the native tool itself, Docker Scout EBS. CBS. So it will do the scanning and it will provide the report whether any vulnerabilities or some kind of issue. If there is no issue, then basically it will go to the container registry.
Can you tell
Uh,
me like what kind of issues usually reported by the security tools? Static analysis, any top two or three findings that
yeah, there are many threat tools is available. Even we can check in the market as well. There are top 10 issues currently facing. Uh, there are
just some example of security issues reported by Sonar Cube or any other tool that you have seen?
some might be some code. if you are using some kind of code that might be replaced with some other suggestions, uh, and if sometimes is find any kind of password text inside that file, basically it will provide the errors on that.
Mhm.
Um, then
Are you aware of cross-site scripting, SQL injection?
yeah, that are the kind of issues, SQL injection. But exactly, I don't know what is the cross-site. But I hear the terms like SQL injection may happen, cross-site. I just care about that. Since I was not part of security, because I'm fully working in DevOps.
Okay.
Okay. So mostly I just provided security for mostly this Kubernetes cluster level. Uh,
Okay, that's why you mainly cluster level security is mainly those secrets being managed properly.
yeah, secrets and permissions, one of the second thing. So if anyone, um, if you say any case cluster, if you are deployed many applications, so if the based on the role, based on user, we supposed to provide the access, someone will get the just list. Some will get maybe get they can execute. So those kind of by providing those kind of permission, we can restrict the user to access the manifest file or displaying Kubernetes in their cluster level of pods or pods. So that is one kind of security what we are providing for Kubernetes.
Any top two or three findings that you have seen when people are creating the Docker containers or anything, any
No, since it's predefined, so while before installing itself, we supposed to provide. I mean, once done the deployment, we are deciding who can access what kind of
Mhm.
resources that we define. So based on that, the user will work. Initially, every user have zero access. So some user only will get who going to operate, who is an administrator. If someone want to just list out the deployments, so based on that they will get the access. Then only they can go into the cluster. Otherwise, it's a zero access for all,
And
except
by
the
default,
admin.
what is the user that Docker container run as?
Sorry, by default. Sorry.
So basically, I'm trying to understand any security issues or any recommendations you have made to your dev team, or that you should follow these practices. You should do so and so activity so that your container is secure.
So few things I have did like uh, in here things some candidate may get this access. uh, some may get some other access. And if someone is logging, they can only see a particular namespace. Uh, those kind of security we have done by using uh, RBAC, role-based access control.
That is you securing at the Kubernetes hosting level.
Yes,
That
yes, yes.
you give a user certain level of permission, he will see
Yeah,
specific namespaces.
yes,
But
yes.
how about the containers that they will create? The containers they will create, do you
Yeah.
follow any standards there? Do you enforce anything?
Uh, yes, for container creations, that by using Docker. So basically, what images they included, on top of that, we will write some code. So basically, we will do a scanning on that images. So if any vulnerabilities or security we found, it will provide. As I said, there is a mechanism Docker Scout CVS. It will provide as a report. If everything is fine, then and it's compliant with the standards or what regulation they given. Based on that, if everything is fine, then only it will try to push that into the repository or ECR or Nexus. If we found any issues at the initial stage, so we will ask the developer or we'll do itself. We change the image name and we will try to find out the solution for it. And we will push the error-free images on the that was
Okay, makes sense. What about the third diagram? You have something else?
yeah, that is some more basically we are providing is an EKS cluster what we have seen we deployed
Mm-hmm.
deployment is doing here, and of
Okay.
course we are using Terraform for infra provisioning. One security we have done here like uh, that Terraform that state file basically we will store it in a secure manner like S3 bucket, and we put a lock on them to to avoid unknown access to the particular file. We put in the S3 bucket. In this way, we can provide a security for Terraform files. And a deployment of course, we are using Ansible tool to deploy. So once it's deployed, basically, if as per the problem, they said AWS EKS. So we basically we deployed AWS EKS. So once done, we have monitoring, of course, monitoring communication. Monitoring basically we will use Prometheus, Grafana, and CloudWatch. Uh, and communication, of course, if any in this monitoring, if any there will be any changes and it's a critical. Based on that, it will cut the Jira ticket or it will notify in the Slack. So based on that, jump immediately we can jump into the particular system or where we put some solution. So we can do it and we can resolve immediately.
Okay. Okay. One very simple question. Uh,
Okay.
you said monitoring, right? So I have my um, cluster hosted somewhere. It's exposing a endpoint called yahoo.com.
Okay.
How will you know from your monitoring solution? How will you set it up in a way that if a user is not able to hit yahoo.com, he gets page not found or some, how will your monitoring system inform you?
There are many solutions like basically it has been done in load balancing as well.
Mhm,
It's a health check. Health check it will
mhm,
do a particular API or a particular path. It will keep on check in some time interval. If it is providing unusual error code,
mhm.
basically it trigger via either via CloudWatch uh, or it will alert by Slack. This particular URL is not hitting, is not working. So this kind of things we have done through in the AWS itself. It's providing a way, health check, application check or health in application load
Okay, so
balancer
an
we can
application
integrate.
check will notify you.
Yes, yes, application check. We have to set up the parameter like it
So
will continuously.
how is Prometheus, all this Grafana, CloudWatch, they are not useful in such scenario?
Of course, because I didn't work on that scenario, but usually it should have that because yes, yes, of course, it is there because when I was working with Oracle, they're using Grafana for um, the node, the cluster management. Like
Hmm.
it will go red in case of there is a resource issue. Like if you're
How
seeing the
will it go
usages.
red? That is the question. How will you what will you do? Because
Yeah, basically there is a um, exporter. The exporter will work in the backend. The exporter or integrated with this, the exporter will do the integration of our nodes with the Prometheus server. So it will keep on because it will provide lot of parameter checking. So based on that, it will provide all the output, what is the current scenario of our current settings of the system. So from that, the exporter will communicate with the server, and the exporter will provide the system usage. So based on that, in the Grafana dashboard, we can set the condition. If it is crossed this percentage, and on based on that, we can provide the Jira ticket or send it,
and where is
communicate
the
with them.
security monitoring or anything around security? Your containers are running. How do you know your containers are not exposed? Your containers are not at risk. Does Prometheus, Grafana, CloudWatch have that kind of capability?
Uh,
I hack into your container, I start running some commands there. Uh, which of the tools will tell you? And
okay. Mm, that part I haven't done. Basically, I was use this Grafana dashboard for monitoring the Kubernetes environment where we will get, there was some total number of ports for a particular application. If anything goes wrong, basically it will report, and the resource usage it will report. That is the main part I worked for. So obviously, it's a rich, it will provide which parameter basically initial, security level already set who, which user is supposed to come into the cluster. They can only do some certain operations. Apart from that, if hackers attacking, obviously, if it's attacked, they can run it.
yes, they can run it, but you need some
Yeah,
sort of monitoring, some monitoring to inform you such issues as well. So,
yeah. Uh, so some logging mechanism we can use, like Kibana.
yep, yep, yep.
Uh,
You explore that.
get
You study
some
what
kind of
products can work in this area. See, this entire job description was specifically for security aspects, and somehow I
yeah.
find them missing in the overall picture. It's DevOps painted slightly different. That's what it is.
See, I cannot, write this one slide. That's why split it into three, and the stage is ended by here, and again, after test, it will start from here,
If you
especially
do
the
a
container.
basic Google search, right, with DevSecOps pipeline, you
Yeah,
will get you will get much better, clear understanding. You can start building from there. This is
uh, okay, fine, because I searched internet because obviously I done that. But what I was thinking, instead of taking from the internet or from that, I just
no, no.
done
This is a good
my own
attempt.
way.
This is definitely a
Yeah.
good attempt. But as I mentioned, those security specifically for an architect kind of position, you understand the job description, right? It's for a
Yes.
security DevSecOps architect. So that kind of articulation in the first round and in the second round is kind of missing, I would say. And if you have to target for such roles, that then that sort of communication or maturity has to be visible. That is missing, I would say.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Hmm?
because since I did worked on as an architect level,
Right.
so as a DevOps, we done planning and deployment, all those
Yeah,
things. Now
that is
again one
exactly,
more,
yeah.
yeah,
That
one more
was my
steps.
feedback in the first round as well. You are hands-on. You have worked on DevOps space, but not so much at an architect level.
Yes,
That
yes,
was my.
correct, 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 correct. So
But we
that's
wanted
what.
to give a chance that since the opportunity is for architect, we may not be able to take it forward to next stage, but we will definitely keep you in mind for any senior DevOps engineer kind of positions.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
All right, I think we'll end there. Just go through this scenario and see where the gaps are. The focus was on the compliance side, security, SecOps, all those things. That is where the focus was.
Sure, sure. Okay, I'll try to do. No problem.
Hmm. All right then. Thanks,
Yeah,
Ritesh.
thanks.
Bye.